He is a graduate from MIT Animation. Sachin, sorry, what batch are you from, man?
2012.
2012. Okay, so he's been out here for 8 years, killing it with his work. He is an animator, he's an artist, he's a traveler, and he loves to be on the road. So he is somebody who skateboards his way across cities, interacts with people, and bases his art from that. Let's hear more about it from Sachin. Hey, Sachin.
Thanks, Weber, for the wonderful intro.
You're
Uh,
welcome.
um, Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for joining in. I'm Sachin Samson. I'm a multidisciplinary artist working and practicing out of Bangalore currently. So today, quickly, I'm going to take you through some of my sketchbook chronicles and the base of my art journey that allowed me to transverse the map. So I graduated as an animation student from MIT 2012 batch. Though I was learning animation, I was keenly interested in illustration. So after graduation, I started my career as a concept artist in the game industry. So I was specialized in digital painting, character design. So while working there, it was a great opportunity to, great experience to understand, learn not only art, but also the other side of the trade. So working with a lot of senior artists kind of helped me to develop my skills and focus on a certain discipline. Working with timelines and deadlines of project definitely built a discipline in my art journey. So quickly, I want to take you guys through some of my early works while I was working at the studio. So the game industry is pretty fun. Like the most fun part is we have a console gaming room where you get to test games, where you get to play a lot of games, interact with your fellow colleagues, and just have fun. But also, there's a lot of hard work. But again, if you choose to do what you love, then the work gets to a very interesting point. So, concept art, I deal with a lot of illustration segments, working on character design. So these are some of the in-house portfolio that I designed for the studio. A character called Elf Mother that was highly inspired by the indigenous tribes of Central India, mostly the Bonda tribe, Gonda, uh, Gabara tribe, and the Sandal tribes. A belt from Orissa to maybe Madhya Pradesh side. So this was some of our initial um, process. So we started off as these with these thumbnail sketches, and then we moved into refinement. And the third stage is where you do a value study of the character before presenting it to your senior team lead. And once the team lead approves this design, so you move on to the color keys. Um, and once the colors are finalized, you move to the final design. So here's another character that I was working on. This is also highly inspired by the Agori king. Sorry, the Agori tribe. So he was like this cannibal monster with a pet monkey, wrinkled skin, gray hair, long beard. Again, a similar process. Am I audible, guys?
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. Color keys, and then another character, something that was inspired by the folk art of South India, the Kathakali. Um, so here, what I did was I did a study of uh, this mainly the folk art, and I wanted to fuse this character with a very sci-fi humanoid, or like the cyborg, which is both organic and made of biometric body parts. So I took a lot of inspiration from directly from the Kathakali, especially those rich and vibrant attire. The mask had these layers of details. Um, so yeah, though working in the industry was definitely a good experience, but I reached to a phase where um, I wanted to work on my own concept and ideation. I wanted to start focusing on my skills. So I didn't think much. I actually planned to quit without a plan B. Um, After I quit, I started live sketching.
Okay.
So I would like to start the session with this with a famous quote by Vincent Van Gogh. My sketchbook is a witness of what I am experiencing, scribbling things whenever they happen. So yeah, when I initially started, I had no idea how to start. I just got a sketchbook, um, and I went outside and I started sketching anything and everything that I found around, from people, animals, architecture, and so on. So initially, it was really hard to sketch. I used to struggle a lot, like, but within time, my lines started to look better, and the process became way simpler. So, there are times when you really don't know what to sketch. You're stuck with uh, that start. But like, you just have to look around and you might just find different frames, or you can just try out anything that you see around. And the more you try this process, you kind of learn a lot of things actually, from uh, point of view angles, perspectives, compositions, anatomy, gesture drawing, and there's so on that you learn by just being there and doing these live sketches. One of my favorite places to sketch the flights. I think during flight journeys, that's when a lot of people stay still, or maybe you find passengers sleeping. So these are some of the sketches that I did during my flight journeys. Also, I love viewing life through the eyes of the common man and documenting simple everyday life through art. So here are some of the sketches that I did of just day-to-day life.
Yeah, beautiful.
Thanks. I also find it interesting to sketch in a moving vehicle. So initially, I thought it was impossible, but when I gave it a try, um, I found out that there is a way of sketching. You hold your tools or pen in a specific way to get the line straight or get the composition right. But while sketching in a moving vehicle, the possibility is different, because as due to constant motion, you lose control of your pen, and the straight lines might turn into a very zigzag lines. So I think that imperfection itself kind of makes it a unique style. So I continued sketching on moving vehicles. I did a lot of character studies while doing live sketches.
Hmm.
I came across a lot of these interesting characters, and
Yeah.
then slowly this became a main part of my art journey, because I started traveling for sketching, and I traveled to a lot of beautiful places where I met so many interesting characters, and they all had beautiful stories to share with me. These are some of the sketches that I did at Rajasthan. The middle frame was one of the most peaceful moments I've had, where this man was taking me to a trance with his music, this beautifully rich music, which has a lot of universal emotions and past stories. And the way these kids were just sitting there patiently, looking at me sketch and listening to his music, was absolutely a beautiful moment. Also, architectural sketches were very interesting. The way you understand space, the way you learn different perspectives were like absolutely amazing. So let me quickly just take you through some of the videos so that you'll have an idea about how people get interactive with these sketches. Can you guys see this?
Yes,
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like the look in their eyes, and like to see how happy they are to receive those
Yeah.
sketches and to
It's in a
just see them.
rural desert,
Yeah,
actually.
yeah.
Yeah, in Rajasthan. Also, I like sketching these old Indo Dutch or like British architecture.
Right.
I think it really makes the landmark of a specific place. So this was while I was in
Right.
Bombay.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Another sketch that I did at the Kochi Biennale. So this was during a musical performance art.
Hmm.
Sachin, sorry, how long do you usually take
I'm
for
sorry.
these individual character sketches? If
Right. It depends. I don't spend a lot of time on these quick sketches.
Yeah.
From like 10 minutes to 15 minutes.
Okay.
Sometimes it goes to like 20 minutes when I want to add more details or more characters to the frame.
Yeah. So the
Otherwise,
reason
they're
I
very quick.
ask is because since they're live and you have no control over the person you're sketching, basically you can't ask
Right.
them to wait or they aren't posing for you. You know,
Right.
it's on the go, it's passing by. So like, do you just make a quick outline or a quick detail in that way and then work on it later, or is it all done in a flow together?
Actually, these sketches, everything's done in like one go because,
Okay.
like I said, they're just simple line drawings. But
Yeah.
the more and more you sketch, right,
Yeah.
it becomes like I would say, earlier those initial days when you join a gym, it's so hard to work out. You can hardly do like 5 to 10 push-ups. But the more you continue doing it, you'll be your body and mind gets used to it. It's a
You
similar way
adapt
in
to it
sketch.
and you get better at
Absolutely.
it. Okay.
Right. So initially, like you start liking it, then it becomes an interest. Then you continue sketching for like a couple of weeks. That becomes a hobby, maybe. And then when you start continuing it for years, I think you master a subject. And then when you finally master a subject, that's when you find possibilities of using that skill to maybe like convey a story or a message through like these illustrations, I feel.
Okay. Okay.
So let me quickly take you through a sketchbook flip
Sure.
through. So that's when you have like a collection of sketchbooks, and then when you go through your past sketches, like when you flip through these books, it's really beautiful. You know why? Because you kind of live in that moment. Like it takes you back to that timeline, and that feeling is really amazing. It's like a journal of your life.
Yeah, yeah. You're basically seeing the progression of your journey over the last
I would also
Right,
like
however
to
years you've been at.
I would also like
right,
to like add something to it. Like it also like act as in a way to see your progress in a way.
right.
Yeah,
Definitely,
yeah.
definitely.
So
Like when I
yeah.
go back and see like some of my early sketches, I could see how it transformed into something else. Actually, yeah,
Or also your thought process, what you were thinking, what your mood and state of mind was. Even that.
definitely,
Yeah. Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. That's it.
So yeah, storytelling with drawings. I believe that every moment has a hidden story in it, but we're just so caught up with our life that we forget to appreciate these very simple things that keep us ticking.
Okay.
So storytelling is absolutely everything for me. Like, uh, what I experience everyday life in everyday life, I try to like relate it to my art. So it can be something personal, something that I've experienced at some point of my life, but I'm just trying to recreate it for myself and like for others. So let me tell you a story. So when I first came to Bangalore, this was in my initial days. I used to ride around on a bike, so I just stepped out to do some live sketches on my bike, and I wasn't wearing a helmet. So um, I saw these bunch of policemen desperately waiting to catch the bikers, as you all know how Indian police are. So I'm trying to hide, escape from them, but then they just jumped onto the road and they caught me. And they charged me a very hefty fine. Obviously, I wasn't ready to pay them that amount, so I was just waiting there, and these guys are again like busy catching other bikers. So meanwhile, I took my sketchbook and I made this really quick sketch of the police officer, and I showed it to him. So he was pleasantly surprised. Suddenly the mood changed, and
Right.
he actually called his fellow colleagues and he showed it off to them. He was there having a little chat, and then the mood became very interactive. So we started having like conversations about a lot of things, and we actually became friends, man. So I offered him the sketch to have. He accepted my sketch bribe and he let me go.
Okay.
So yeah, so then I was really interested in these characters because when I first saw them, I've never seen an Indian police wearing like a massive white hat, which almost made them look like one of those Mexican cowboys, you
Cowboys,
know.
yeah,
So
right.
yeah, I don't know if you guys have seen the Bangalore police, white and white with a
Yeah.
big hat. Yeah. So I did this illustration. I did a series of illustration just because I wanted to create a visual remix of two contrasting culture. You know, like how every day internet has this new culture which has been going on, like dabbing is one, or it can be a challenge or anything that's gone viral. So just for fun, I wanted to fuse this with a very like ordinary, like common character and come up with a modern day character. So another time when I was in Fort Kochi, just hanging out, doing some live sketches, I saw this interesting character. So he was sitting on a paid bucket and he was just sitting there doing nothing. Um, so I was just observing him for a while, doing some sketches of this guy, and all what he did was just sit there, watch people, just watch the day come to an end. So I kind of knew that this guy was a very reserved character, so I didn't want to interfere him. But I documented this whole process, and I suddenly had this idea of uh, putting this character on one of the walls in Fort Kochi. So the same day, I went on like searching for a good wall,
Right.
and yeah, and I came across this old uh, building. It's called Vasco Homestay. So it's one of the ancient buildings in Fort Cochin. Now it's converted into like a tourist homestay. So I saw the owner, and I spoke to him saying that also this house they built. There's a saying that Vasco da Gama lived there. So that's one reason why this building is really popular, and it's one of the main landmarks in Fort Kochi. So
Okay.
I thought this would be a perfect place to put this man on. So I asked the owner. He was a friendly guy. I told him, man, I wanted to draw something on your wall, if you don't mind. There's absolutely no monetary benefit. It's just I just want to do it, and he was really friendly. He actually told me like, go ahead, and I made this character on the wall. So the interesting part is that while doing this mural, I actually there were a lot of people who gathered who were very curious about what's going on, and they had a lot of questions in between. Some of them actually recognized this man, and that was the most interesting part. That uh, they came up to me and they were like, "Oh, this is that man who sits on the Matanjeri street, right? I've seen him around." So a couple of people came to me, and that really fascinated me. Like, you know, how art
Right.
can actually connect, and that's when I started believing in the voice of the street. That street art actually brings people together. We all tend to assume that art is meant only for large galleries and museums, but I believe that art is all around us. So I saw
That's
this
true.
possibility. Yeah. So I saw this possibility and I was really interested in this. And I continued the series of traveling to a new place and finding people, finding their story, uh, and putting it out on walls, um, so that, you know, like it becomes a part of that street or the locality. I continue doing that street art series called Humanscape. Um, this is another time when I met this fisherman by the beach at Fort Kochi, and it was really interesting. He told me his story of him growing up by the beach, and his mother used to make him these origami fishes with coconut leaves. So while sharing a story, I documented through a lot of these quick sketches. Yeah,
Okay.
and and again, I went in search of a wall. Yeah, so again, I found this beautiful wall at one of this really pretty boutique hotels in Fort Kochi called Old Harbor. It has this nice little Dutch architecture and these really long walls. So I thought
Mhm.
this would be the right place to illustrate the story. Again, with full confidence, I went and spoke to the owner, and I told him like I'm an artist and I'm doing a series. So he was really interested because he's already an art collector, and he showed me some of his collection. So we had this little session, and he's like, "Go on, man! Like the wall is all yours." So I painted this, and it was again really interesting. I had a fun session interacting with so many people while doing this. I made friends with a lot of local people, and like the local media actually approached, and they covered my story on one of the local channels and newspapers.
Yeah,
And also,
I think it's
yeah,
on YouTube as well. So I think Manorama News have
yeah,
covered it.
Manorama,
Yeah, I've seen it.
yeah.
Yeah,
So that was pretty interesting because getting covered by local channel is again, there's another audience. So and also like it's a great platform to share your work to a wide variety of people.
Sachin, do you
And
have
again,
people who
yeah,
interact with you while you're working on these murals?
yes, absolutely. So
Yeah.
while that's the most interesting part that I love about working on the street, because you find a lot of people, you connect with so many different people, like from the local people to tourists, because they're all curious. It's not like something that they see daily or on a routine basis, right? So they're just interested in knowing what this is about,
Okay.
and yeah, that was pretty interesting. So again, another story that I documented while I was traveling in Varkala, South Kerala. And this was really interesting because I found with a couple of um, documentation of fishermen, I was really interested in this community. And I continued working on this fisherman community, doing a lot of research from the coastal areas of South Kerala to all the way to North Kerala, because every time I travel to these different localities, I find a lot of different varieties of fishermen in terms of their culture, their attire, also the way they uh, go to the ocean. Like this man introduced me to something called katamaram. Katamaram is nothing but a kind of boat, a kind of fishing boat that has been made with three massive planks of wood. Kata means solid and maram means wood in Malayalam. So they tie three planks of these solid wood in a way that it maneuvers really well with the tides.
Okay.
So it's literally like surfing in the ocean. So so actually, this man, I met him at the beach in Varkala, and he told me he had so much to tell me about going to the ocean and the stories of the voyages, the songs of the sea, the tough times of high tides where they lose their land and their houses. So all of these stories actually really uh, intrigued me, and I again made a really quick mural of him on one of the storage houses by the beach. Uh, and this is the same guy actually. Captured him while he was on work.
Oh, nice.
So later, a resort actually approached me in Kerala saying that we're really interested in your coastal series, the Fisherman series, and we wanted you to commission a project. Um, so I thought I would use some of these content that I've already documented, and I made these uh, series of frames, panels of like a scene,
Okay. Okay.
yeah, a scene of the sea. So I
So
involved
this
a
one is
lot of.
not a mural. It's on canvas. I'm assuming.
This is actually a digital
Okay.
digit. So my process, sometimes I work on like from sketches, and then I scan these sketches, and then I touch them digitally,
Okay.
and
Okay.
then yeah, this is one of that project.
All right.
I also animate some of my paintings because I think a simple motion can kind of add a very different emotion to the image. So
Yeah.
I was
Definitely.
really, yeah. So I was really interested in uh, the morning catch, that whole morning session of like the ocean, the sea, where the
Yeah.
fishermen they all get together, they prepare their boat, and with this beautiful enthusiasm, they have this uh, morning song, like the song of the catch. They all sing it together, and it's absolutely beautiful. So I
Yeah,
wanted to capture that scene through this animation.
composition here is also like really nice.
Thanks, man,
Yeah, yeah,
Ravi.
yeah.
Same sketch. So moving on to another project that I did in Kochi, based on my Fisherman series. I got approached by the Marriott group for an upcoming project uh, based on an ancient port of Kerala. So the idea was to curate uh, a lot of these. So it was curated by one of my friend, another artist, and he actually selected a team of Malayali artists working on this project to work on a series of paintings and murals based on the history and culture of Kerala. So when I was approached for this idea, the when I was given with this brief, I wanted to work on my series based on the fisherman. I made this black and white charcoal sketch on one of their walls, representing one of the local fishermen. And I really started enjoying the process of charcoal on wall because it creates this very rustic distress, or like a very raw finish with a lot of detailed layers of textures and gradients. So I was
Hmm.
interested in that. I was interested in that visual style, and I wanted to create a contrast of a story, or like a hint of a story through colors, because I find that a single color can bring in the viewer's attention to, like a specific context of the scenario. So, and I chose to use gold, actually 24 karat gold leaf, because I find that um, gold has this very shimmery and shiny property, which is like a contrast of the monochrome charcoal. So,
Hmm.
and I think it really goes well together, like giving in that contrast. Again, I continued this style of mural, and this is another large wall that I painted in the same hotel.
Okay.
Yeah. So later, I realized after doing multiple drawings and charcoal paintings, I realized that I wanted to start exploring different uh, mediums. So I thought I would retain the same style of drawings. I wanted to show my lines, my gradients and textures, but I wanted to bring in more colors. So I started color blocking my image with acrylic paints, and I use the same process of charcoal painting over this layer.
Okay.
So it kind of got this very rustic finish. At the same time, it had that uh, color, or like the painting side of it. So yeah. So let me quickly get into different mediums and like the materials that I use, also different process and techniques.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, I started off with these very simple line drawings. So I went to the art store and I got myself these sketchbooks, mostly moleskins and a couple of other normal like handmade sketchbooks. And I
Okay.
found this pen called Baoke, Baoke. It's this very simple Chinese gel pen. Um, and when I started sketching with them, I found it really interesting because it has a very thick nib, which lets the ink flow on the paper flawlessly. Like it's really smooth, especially when you do your live sketches. You can't waste a lot of time,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So I think this pen really works well for live sketches. So I still sketch with the same pen. Once in a while, I use charcoal to detail my sketches.
Mm-hmm.
So moving on to some of my favorite charcoal materials is that the normal Indian camel compressed carbon sticks. That's one of my all-time favorite medium to paint uh, charcoal murals because um, this is one of the most darkest carbon or charcoal that I found in the market. And
Okay.
also, I use this brand called Cont. This is another charcoal or like carbon sticks, which is also based with a little wax in it. So it kind of has this a little like matte finish, and it's a little more lighter than the other. So I kind of fuse both together to create uh, a set of gradients in my work.
Okay.
I also use the same brand charcoal pencils and graphite pencils to do maybe to do sketches because when you use pencils for smaller size sketches, I think pencils are the best
Mm.
medium to do details to cover the smaller area. And I also use these simple paper stumps to smudge because they're really convenient to create certain kind of shades and like gradients. And these are again some of my favorite fixative sprays. Uh, Brustro is one of my all-time favorite. Winsor Newton and also Cont has a really high-quality fixative spray. Uh, I would say Winsor Newton is slightly expensive, but they are all like a good grade fixative sprays for charcoal drawings, graphite, even for dry pastels. They actually retain the same color uh, while you work, even after fixing.
Okay. Okay.
Glad that you mentioned it because my question, like I wrote down a question related to it. So when you mentioned you
Oh,
work
okay.
with charcoal, so how do you fix those paintings or artwork for archival purposes? So glad that you mentioned it.
Right.
So one,
Yeah. Yeah. Tell me.
yeah. So one quick question, Sachin. So I wanted to know, you mentioned like when you work with dry pastel, it retains the color. So
Yeah.
for some reason, like I have found like when working with pastels, when you fix it, like it usually
The
tend to
color
become
change.
dark, yeah, little
Darker.
darker,
Yeah.
yeah, little darker. So
Right.
like does that happen? Like do you feel that happened with you or something
It
like that?
does. It does actually.
Okay,
So that's one reason why I would prefer to use Winsor and Newton
yeah,
because they have really like fine quality transparent fixative. It's slightly expensive, like compared to other brands, but
yeah.
I think this works best for
Hmm.
dry pastels. If you're
And
working with charcoal, then definitely the other brands would go.
go exactly, and
Yeah.
also it also must be depending on how like what's the budget of a project or what kind of artwork
Absolutely.
you are
Yeah.
doing. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly, because I work on large murals and like I use like 20 to 30 cans of spray sometimes.
Right,
So
Okay.
like
Okay.
spending so much on a Winsor Newton would be like that's gonna cost me a bomb. So but
right.
this is a great quality, right? So I would prefer this. So yeah.
Thanks.
You also get like camel and stuff, but I don't think that works well. It
Uh,
works well with black and white stuff, but again with
not
dry pastel, it kind of has this yellow tone to it.
right, right. I agree. I
Yeah.
agree.
So another uh, brilliant medium that I recently discovered is something called the pain markers. It's called pump pain markers. So what it does is they come in different size, and they have this water-based acrylic paint inside, and it works similar way how spray can works with the ball technique.
Hmm.
So you got to shake it while working, and then you got to open it and push it slightly so that the nib goes inside and the paint drips through the nib. And the most uh, greatest advantage of working with these paint markers that a lot of people who are comfortable with working with solid mediums, right? Like more of drawing artists or like
Hmm.
more of people who sketch rather than painting with brushes. So for them, working with paint is a great working with paint markers is a great way to retain their lines and their similar strokes of sketching, because you can easily like sketch with these and you can still have the style of an acrylic
Hmm.
painting.
Right.
Yeah, there's also another brand called Moloto, which is also pretty good, but I personally prefer the Liquitex. Uh, in terms of the paint quality, they're really great. So I also like to convey that your hand can also be a great tool while making art, because I like while painting murals. Um, I I started just smudging charcoal with my hands, even paint with my hand, and I got these very unique strokes which you can't achieve through your brushes or your pencils. So it's like it almost feels like you're sculpting on a 2D surface when you like work with your hands. So let me quickly show you a clip explaining the process. Can you guys see this?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So, what you've taken charcoal powder and you've done this?
Yeah, that's also a way. So sometimes I take charcoal powder and uh, I directly just like press
Take.
those charcoal and
Yeah.
smudge it around
Take
the
it from
wall.
some part of
Like,
it. Yeah. And then
yeah,
work it out.
and it's a great way to like just it almost feels like a performance, like you put on your music and then like you have charcoal in your hand
Hmm.
and then you're actually syncing to music and like you're working with your hands. So it almost feels like you're dancing with paints on like charcoal on the wall. So I
I
was
will.
interested in that
I would like to
process.
add to this. I would like to add,
Yeah,
like, in a way, it is also a way to add your identity to it. Identity to it.
right,
Yeah, I mean, your
right,
artwork is in a way, is an identity to you, but still, like your physical fingerprint marks, like fingerprints, will be there on the
right.
wall, and when you fix it, it will be there in a way, like in a mixed way, because
Yeah,
while working with ink for comics and all, I've realized like this happens a lot.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
yeah.
Because there is when you actually break the rules or like the academic principles of drawing, I think that's when an artist discovers his own ways and techniques. And I think that discovery is definitely like what makes them or what kind of like brings a style.
Right, right.
Yeah. So moving on to how I found my style of drawing. So starting off with sketches, I started off this. These are some of my very initial drawings. Like I think this is 2011 when I wasn't really confident with my lines. I couldn't sketch. I used to struggle basically. So, but I still used to try. I used to go out and try to observe things around. Um, I used to try to capture like people and scenes. But again, as you can see, my strokes were very confused. I
That's right.
try to use it. Yeah,
That's okay. I mean, that's the part of the journey
it's
we
a
are
part of
talking
the
about.
journey.
We are talking about
Absolutely.
here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I still love these sketches because this is what got me into sketching.
Right.
So,
Hmm.
yeah, and this is again another progress where 2016, I started refining my sketches a little bit with more of a rendering aspect to it, like say like shading. Um,
Hmm.
so I think 2017 is when I started like getting comfortable with really quick live drawings, and this kind of made a big like change in my art style, because certain times when you're starting your art career and you don't know how to sketch or you don't know where to start, automatically we all look up to other artists. We try to, because of this thing called taste, which we already have. So according to our taste, we look up to certain artworks and we get highly inspired by it, and we try to replicate their art style, or maybe we try to be like those artists.
True.
But then you realize that's not easy, because they've come a long way to reach that state. They might be like masters practicing for like 30 to 40 years maybe.
Mhm.
And then it's a different story. So I think when you start off from the base,
Hmm.
which is nothing but a dot,
Hmm.
and then you put another dot and it becomes a line. And then when two lines intersect and it becomes a form, and finally when you add color to it, that's when it becomes alive, or like it becomes a space, and you can actually make it look like it actually existed. So I started off with these very simple line drawings, and as you can see, the characters are not always staying still, so you need to be really quick. So the more and more you do, you'll start understanding frames, you'll start understanding different gestures, and that's what I found it really interesting to capture different kind of human gestures, because I tend to observe that every human being has a very unique way of moving, a unique way of walking, sitting,
Yeah.
talking, expressions. All of this is a part of them, and I was interested in capturing those unique gestures and expressions. And slowly, through my sketches, I started uh, the narration part of it.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
when I tried to. Yeah,
I have a
it,
question. I have a question, Sachin,
oh
for you. So in the last slide, the sketch on the basically very right hand side. Do you like
yeah,
were looking at work of Jason Sean Alexander, or have you came
the
across?
first one.
No, no. Basically the sketch on the right side.
The man with the
Oh, the
Yeah,
teacup.
yeah,
man with the,
yeah, yeah.
okay.
Not
Oh no
no,
no,
no, no. Have you just
Jason.
Sean Alexander? So
Oh no,
no, no,
is
no.
he an illustrator?
Yeah, he's a comic book artist and he illustrates, he paints, like he makes, he even has like he do
Oh, that's
paintings
great.
for fine art as
Nice.
well. So I mean, this in a way reminded me of his work. So when you said no,
Oh, nice.
like looking at other artists and
Yeah.
that journey, so I was just curious enough to
Oh
know.
no no
Okay,
no. This
okay.
is actually another live sketch. Like as in, I was
Right.
having breakfast. I was craving for some
No,
masala
that's
dosa,
no.
so I met this man.
Definitely, definitely. I'm not saying like this was being copied.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
no.
But
What I'm trying to say, were you influenced by like his work or like because it somehow
right. I
reminds me of it.
understood. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Okay,
Earlier, I used to. I definitely used to look up to a lot of artists.
okay,
Like I said before, live sketches. I
okay.
used to look up to people like. I think I still do. Like Kim Jong-gi is still one of my favorite
Hmm.
uh, master who can draw like insanely creative and beautiful drawings
Right.
out of just imagination.
Hmm.
And yeah, so I think
Awesome.
sometimes when you look up to an artist rather than like replicating their style. Sometimes I think they just inspires you or gives you a drive to just start doing the act.
Doing it again.
So that
Hmm.
way, I still look up to artists. Yeah.
Hmm.
Anyway, moving on to the narration part. So this is when I started rendering or like detailing my work. This again an early sketch. So I started exploring the possibilities um, of conveying something, or like trying to tell a story through drawings, or trying to convey something through one frame. I think the power of storytelling is a great tool, or the way you can convey a message through your sketches. I think that's one of the greatest tools of the greatest ways of like drawing an illustration. So I also try to explore with colors here, because again, um, bringing like certain colors kind of adds like a story to the frame, like to the image. A similar sketch of the same series. So moving on to so after I started sketching on sketchbooks, um, I realized that like this, there was a point when uh, I was saturated with the space or the limitation of your drawing on the space. So I realized I wanted to draw more large scale drawings. I wanted to work on like the scale as an aspect. So that's when I switched to the medium. So I thought, drawing with pen on a large scale wouldn't actually make sense, because then you will have to put in a lot of effort to fill up the space with a thin point. That's when I replaced that tool with charcoals and various other mediums which could make large scale drawings easily. This is a mural that I did at the Project Cafe in Goa. So here again, I worked with charcoal, and this was again a live performance with music. So a person was playing music, he was jamming, and I was painting to his music. So
Oh wow!
it was a
Oh,
fun session. Yeah. So another mural that I did at an orphanage in Cochin. So um, I had a lot of fun working on this project, because it was a girls' orphanage. There were little kids from the age of 12 to 16. So while working on these murals, there were the kids actually interacted with me. I tried, though it was on a higher surface, so I couldn't involve them in the artwork process. But it was fun, because working with kids is a great experience, because I think um, children are the most honest people with their opinions, their drawing style. They're just really honest about what they say, and I could actually hear these kids talking while I was working on this. Some of them were very positive. Some of them actually adored the work. Some of them got scared of the work, because I actually overheard a kid talking to another one of her friends, saying that, what, I'm not going to come to this corner, because what if this girl opens her eyes at night? That's going to freak me out. So I heard that, and I actually like, wow, like it's beautiful how everyone has a different way of connecting to your work, and that's what I'm
yeah.
interested in. Like everyone's honest interpretations, the way they want to feel it, they're free to feel it. Um,
Sachin, sorry,
so
you spoke about
yeah,
how people perceive the art and how they connect to it and how they feel by it. But
right.
when you're making something like this, could you talk about a little about what you thought and why you've drawn this girl with the jellyfish and
Yes, absolutely.
the
So
elements of it, kind of thing?
right, yeah. So so when I got approached by this NGO, they told me the background of the place, and how it was a girls' orphanage. So I wanted to work on a story that was based on the girls who were living there. So most of them had like they came from like poor families, and like they had like other like issues and stuff. So I wanted to work around that, like that concept. So the idea behind this illustration is that there is a girl um, who connected to the ocean, and like she kind of drowned all her sorrows and worries and all her problems in the ocean, and in return, the ocean, the nature actually like it illuminated like a dynamic between the girl and the nature itself. So I wanted to show that surreal element, or like that magical story, or the connection between her and the nature through these jellyfishes in a very simple way.
Okay.
And I think the gold kind of adds like a magical mood or like an emotion to this drawing. So that was the idea.
All right. All
So
right.
moving on to again, I wanted to like start exploring paints and colors. So I thought this was a series that I illustrated based on some of the stories that my grandma narrated when I was a kid. So every time when I used to go to uh, my grandparents' house when I was a kid during summer holidays. So she used to tell me a lot of these mythical stories about these legendary characters and the tribes and the indigenous birds. So I did this series based on some of those characters, and monsoon was something that always uh, uh, like inspired me to tell a lot of stories, because every time I go stay with my grandparents, it's during summer, and then like the next month would be like this crazy rain, and the stories that she told me were based on the monsoon. So there was this man, um, he was like a farmer. So back in the day, they used to have this um, hats that used to be made with woven coconut, I think palm leaves.
Okay.
And he had this monkey pet, and he had this instrument that he used to play this music right before it rains, and the sound or the music actually called the rain gods, and that's what let it rain. And it
Okay.
also attracted these fireflies. So
Oh,
I
okay.
actually, yeah, so I actually animated this image later just to add the motion of the fireflies. I hope you can see this.
Yeah, yeah, we can.
Yeah,
We can.
yeah. So that was one. So again, like I just wanted to show you how like my journey started from that line drawing to various explorations with grayscale. And then later, when I started being confident with colors, I started painting my drawings. So this is a series that I'm still working on it, based on my travel experience in Rajasthan, and also some of my experiences at these music festivals. So
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to show different cultures, different timeline, different generations, and how cultures can be, uh, interacted with certain kind of people actually. So I've involved a lot of my experience there. Uh, yeah,
Sachin, sorry, could you go back to your last piece
yeah,
of art
sure.
and tell us a little about uh, what is happening and why these elements are put the way they have been put together?
Right, right. So during my experience at this festival called Magnetic Fields, which happens in this very old palace in Rajasthan, this
Okay.
really beautiful palace. So I was actually the second day of the fest. I was just exploring the place. I wanted to do a little bit of quick sketches. So while doing that, I could suddenly hear this music, this folk music coming out of nowhere. So and I actually followed the music, and it actually took me to this very beautiful blue room. They call
Okay.
it the Badal Mahal or something.
Okay.
Anyway, so and the room actually had beautiful artworks around, this typical Rajasthan style murals, and so and they had these tempura instruments hanging from the ceiling, and the view itself, like that visual itself, got me into like this very surreal mood
Hmm.
with music. So I sat there with everyone was sitting there with the musicians jamming, doing their thing, having fun. So I sat there with them and I started sketching. I recorded all what was happening through my sketches.
Okay.
Um, and I think like it took me to this really beautiful trance, and that's what definitely made me continue this as a series of paintings.
Okay.
Yeah,
So basically, when do you make like mini sketches of, say, individual characters or individual pieces while you're at an event, and then
right, right,
once you're back to your home base or to your studio, compose
right.
it all into one art piece?
That's right. Actually, I do a
Okay.
lot of sketches, and I refer to those sketches to work on these paintings
Okay. Beautiful.
later. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yes.
Perfect.
So the next part would be marketing and branding of art, which is one of the most essential part of your creative process too.
Yeah.
Because without marketing your work, I don't think you can succeed as an artist. And uh, I would start off with saying, I believe that your art is not complete when you're done doing it. I think your art is done when people see it and are able to connect and like enjoy it. Otherwise, it exists only in you. Like it doesn't exist. It exists only like a further step in your head.
Mm-hmm.
So, like the art here has been broken down into just a message. And sometimes your client is going to love the worst piece that you like because just because it actually conveys a message way better than some of the beautiful pieces that you've done. So, like, you might get criticized, maybe not on an art level, but like on a marketing or a branding level. So, I think commercial projects works that way. So you need to find you need to give importance to the requirement of the client, and then kind of work on the process accordingly. So starting off, I think the most important part about there are endless way to promote your work on it on the internet today because
Yeah.
um, and I think number one is to have a website. The fact
Okay.
is to reach a potential client or like or people in general too who wants to buy your art, and
Mm-hmm.
it makes it way easier for them to go to your website, and you have a gallery showcasing all your work. So from a consumer side or like a client side, it's so easy and convenient to surf through your gallery, understand your art, understand you, and like your process, all of that details, and also having a shop window on your website is definitely like it's incredibly important. Even on social media sites, like if you have a shop page on your Instagram or your Facebook page, that works too. But I think if you have a website, that could be like very professional.
All right.
Yeah. So moving on to social media, I think the next would I think being an artist, I don't think you should ignore social media platforms like Pinterest, Instagram, Vimeo. That there are so many platforms depending on what you do. I think what's important is that knowing yourself, knowing your art, understanding the right platform for your art is what is. Uh, I think that's the most important part of branding your work because, say, if you're an artist or an image maker, you have great platforms like uh, Pinterest or Instagram, or if you're a concept artist, I think ArtStation is an incredible platform. You're an animator, you have Vimeo, filmmakers. So choosing the right platform, putting out your work, and reaching to the right audience is a great way of marketing and promoting your work.
Mm-hmm.
The third point would be perception. I think having great quality content is the best way to create a perception in the market. Like quality is really important. Good quality images, following a good layout, like covering up and elaborating on your content. I think it's not about what you have for breakfast or like putting a picture of your dog, maybe for some other time, but focusing more on like your work and your brand. I
Yeah.
think that really creates a perception. Also, I find that to make this whole process interactive with your audience, showing like your behind the scenes of your work process or like the space where you work. I think that all adds into the interaction part.
Okay. Okay.
So moving on to the fourth point is collaboration. I think collaboration is a great platform today, uh, to sell your work, to get more gigs, or if you're independent or a freelance artist, you have so many opportunities and great people out there to collaborate with. And I think collaboration is also a platform where you learn so many things because you're working with people who has a different sets of skill apart from you. So say if you're working with a video uh, filmmaker or like a cinematographer, or say if you're working with a musician, the
Hmm.
way it's the same process, the base is the same, but it's just that the way of doing it is different. So I think when two skill sets combine together, it totally becomes a very unique product. Um, so when it comes to collaboration, you can't just reach out to a brand or an institution and say, "Hey, I'm this and that." That doesn't work mostly. Maybe it works, but mostly I don't think it works. So you need to do your proper research on the brand, on the approach of business organizations or individuals. So find out who is that right person to talk to. If it's a hotel chain, find out who's in charge of the creative team, or like the general managers. Get their email address, contacts, shoot a professional email. And I think that's the way to approach uh, uh, these organizations. Um, so I think also like social media handles are also a great platform to collaborate, because the moment you put out your work there, you're basically reaching out to a massive audience whom you don't even know. It can be uh, maybe like a buyer can come across your work, maybe someone who is in need of a specific project can come across your work, or it can also be a friend or a relative who who knows your work so well, and if his or her friend is approaching them for a project, and he or she might know the right person who can handle this project. So that's a great way to connect with people. And like marketing or promoting is nothing but creating an impression of what you do, or an image on people's mind, so that when there's a requirement, suddenly you appear in their mind. So that's when they contact you. And that's the whole idea of marketing. The fifth point that I would like to cover is brands. Studying the way brands grow and the way brands fit into like a consumer society is ultimately a form of education that every artist should be like absolutely uh, critical to succeed now. Like understanding the brand, uh, understanding the possibilities of working with a brand. And the sixth point would be local media. Like I said, sometimes it's a great opportunity to like get featured by the local channels, news channels, or press, because they have a different set of audience. You might not find your uh, like a metro crowd, or say like your parents, or like other people on social media. You might, but I think major still, like all of our parents depend on news channels and a lot of other local media. So I think it's important to have them as well in your circle, because that's when you realize most of your buyers, so the people whom you connect on a regular basis, or say the people who follow you on social media, I don't think they're really your buyers. Maybe they are, but not most of them, because I think a majority of them follow you on social media because they're interested in your work, they're interested in the process, they're curious about this whole journey of art. But I don't think they're not really your buyers. Your buyers come on a different range of people. Where uh, so I think this is a great way to reach out to them as well.
Uh,
Because once I had an experience where when I got covered by one of the local news channels, I was actually connected to a lot of like people, including some of my relatives who approached me to do certain projects for them. So yeah.
Uh,
So I would like to conclude the session by saying that creativity is like a superpower, man. Like you can do anything you like. You can create whatever you want. You want to create a really like cute woman, or you want to make a space and like make it look like it actually exists, or make someone dream through your work. Literally, like make someone dream. Actually, as a kid, you draw those like you go through those little drawings or like illustrations or children's book. You're literally dreaming there. You're
yeah.
being in that image, right? I think that's a great uh, tool to like as an artist or any a creative person in general. Like I think I want to like make people feel emotions through these process. And like art has always been an evolutionary practice. Like with my personal experience, I believe that there is this discipline in art which can lead to extraordinary visions coming to life and can break barriers in a way that can't be anticipated until it's actually complete. So
Mhm.
it's like this, creativity is like a gift that you have, but it's up to you to like make the most of it. So yeah, thank you
Fine.
so much.
All right. Thanks a lot, Sachin. This was excellent. It was very informative, and I definitely enjoyed it. Um, I think we do have a few questions that are coming in,
Right.
and I have some questions for you. I think can I start with that if you
Definitely,
don't
man.
mind? Uh, Sachin, as a creative and as an artist, I'm not sure, but do you ever face a creative block, or are you ever in a space where you don't know what to do or how to go ahead with what you don't know how to emote it or you don't know how to put it out, kind of a thing?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
And,
I
and
think,
how do you
yeah,
deal with that if you ever feel that you have a creative block?
yeah, definitely. I think all creative people go through this creative block because uh, I think there's this energy, like it's not really a part of me, but it's just flowing through me, and I try to like bring it out, channel it in one way or the other to like create my illustrations or like my artwork. But there are times when you don't have that energy, and that's when you got to find other ways. So for me, when I feel saturated, I step out, I pack my bags, and I travel. I go to a new place. It can even be travel in the sense it can be just like a short trip to like a village nearby, or like go to the mountains nearby. Anything. It really doesn't matter. Going to a new place, meeting people is definitely refreshing for me, and also doing things that's different. Like say if I was painting throughout the month, and obviously like you get saturated after a point with the same medium, the same content. So I try to maybe find a different medium, like I try to sculpt sometimes. I also try to like do something else apart from like uh, drawing or like sculpting. I try to uh, like build something out of scratch. So there are like so many ways to keep this flowing. So I think you just have to understand that it's a natural process and then move on, like get back to what it is.
Okay. Okay. Cool. We have a question from some of the viewers over here. Uh, there's somebody asking which medium do you love to work on and why?
So my personal favorite is charcoal because I really like solid mediums. Charcoal is nothing but compressed powder, carbon powder, right? So it's also again a pigment. The way charcoal, like the way you can work with charcoal, again I said like I can use my hands. I don't really have to follow like any rules or like any academic principles. I can just be free and do whatever I want. And the more I do and explore what with this particular medium, I was able to find out different ways and techniques, which was again uh, based out of my explorations.
Okay.
So yeah,
Okay.
One sec.
Uh, yeah, sure, Ravi.
Yeah. So we can actually ask Sachin to end his presentation so that you guys can both be on full screen now.
Oh, okay.
Hannah?
Yeah, is it on full screen now?
No, you just end. You need to end your presentation.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. Just that.
Um,
Yeah, perfect.
is that fine?
Yeah, this works.
All right. All right. Um, okay, there's another question asking if you're going to be having an exhibition in Bengali this year.
In Bengal?
Yeah, I'm assuming they mean Bengal. They've written Bengali, but yeah.
Okay. I'm not sure actually because the current situation. So the plan was to have a couple of exhibition like across India this year because I've been working on like multiple series and finally I'm in a state where I want to like exhibit my work, work with galleries. So I had all that planned right before the lockdown and the COVID situation happened. But
Yeah.
I'm still in touch with a lot of galleries
Also,
around. So
I think they meant Benali, Benali.
oh,
Oh,
the Biennale.
sorry,
Yeah.
sorry. This is
Yeah,
my bad.
Okay.
it
The Kochi Biennale.
yeah, I get so. That's what they are trying to.
Right. Okay. Okay. So I think I haven't really gotten so much into conceptual art yet, though I've been working on like a couple of series. I haven't published it anywhere, but I think like when the time arrives, I would try and approach and work. I would love to work with the Kochi Biennale at some time, but let's see. Not right now.
Okay.
Okay. Sachin, so another question I had for you is, do you have any artists or anybody that has inspired you to take this path or has influenced your style of work or to develop your own style of work even? Has
Right.
there been
So
something that you followed and thought that, okay, this is the kind of journey that I want to follow and this is why I want to create my own style, kind of a thing?
right, right. So yeah, absolutely. Like I I took my inspiration all the way from the Renaissance masters like Michelangelo, Bernini, and all the way to the modern masters to like the contemporary artists like Anish Kapoor, uh, all these guys actually. A couple of them like James Jean, Rembrandt is one of my all-time favorite uh, artists, and also like Baroque period was like definitely an inspiring. I still look up to like their work sometimes to like understand light composition. That never stops. Like looking up to another
Yeah.
artist, it's just bliss. So, but you know, like when you work, you separate all this. This is more like from a viewer's point,
Yeah.
understanding art, understanding the art moments. I think it's incredibly important how it all started. So I think your inspiration definitely depends on these moments. But at the same time, when you work, you don't really take inspiration. I
Yeah.
think like someone actually said, I forgot the name of the artist. It's a really interesting quote. Uh, he said, "You don't take inspirations. Inspiration is for amateurs. You just get to work and let the work take you." So I truly believe that. I find that really interesting because when you work, you just leave all the experience and practice that you have in your mind. You just start it fresh and follow your brush, man. Like let the
You
brush
just
take
go
you.
with the flow, kind
Let
of thing.
yeah, let it take you. Let it create what it has to create. Let the chip fall where it has to. So yeah,
Okay. So that being on the creative front, how you go about it, there's also this thing, where a lot of artists are not great businessmen or women, and
yeah,
I feel like people don't really know how to put a monetary value to their art form, no matter what
right,
it is. It could be drawings, it could be paintings, it could be photography, it could be animation, it
right,
could be any medium. But I feel that there's a lot of time where people don't know exactly how to value it in terms
right,
of
right.
monetary value. So you are somebody who does commercial work and who
Yeah,
work with collaborations and things like that. So how do you go about figuring out what you are worth or what your effort and your art is worth?
right. So I believe that being an artist, uh, it's better not to follow these cliche trends of, how artists are poor and sad. That's just when Van Gogh used to paint, and just because his work wasn't like sold when he was alive, his story became like this really like sad story in the art world. But uh, I don't think that's true, because today we live in this like time where you have so many opportunity as a creative. You're not really an artist today. You're doing so many different things where you focus on one thing, but today you have the tools like, say, digital tools. There are so many n number of platforms to keep creating. So collaborations one, working on commercial projects, having a balance between commercial projects and your personal projects is incredibly important, because when you work on your personal projects, you don't adulterate. If you just make it happen, anything that you want to convey through your drawings, you
Yeah.
just present it. If it's like, if it's nudity, if it's or like anything, whatever you like, you can convey. No one's going to stop you from doing that. But when you work on commercial projects, you need to understand certain things, that this is, maybe you're doing it, but at the same time, you're working for someone. So
Hmm.
there is a need or a requirement there. So considering that requirement and ideating your project would be the great way to succeed as a commercial artist. At the same time, like, you keep building your stuff, like your personal stuff. Creating that balance is extremely important. It can be finding the right schedule, like, say, 3 weeks I would work on 3 days I would work on commercial projects. The next few days I would just spend on my personal projects. It can be months. I've met some artists who take commercial projects for the entire year, and the
Okay.
next year he or she wouldn't even like take up any commissions or any commercial projects. They will have like
Just
personal
creativity.
gallery shows and stuff, right?
All right. All right. Cool. I think we have a lot of questions coming in now. Somebody's asking, as you work with charcoal, how do you seal the painting so it's permanent when working on a graffiti?
So I use a fixative to seal my paintings when I work with charcoal.
Hmm.
Uh, Fixative is, again, I introduce you the brands that I
Yeah.
use.
Yeah.
So adding a layer of fixative is nothing but a PU spray, like a polyurethane coat, which kind of seals your artwork from a lot of, dude, I have a problem here. My UPS is running down.
Oh, okay.
So the
Okay.
computer is going to shut down. I'm so
Okay.
sorry about this. The power went off.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. We're
So
extremely
thank you so
sorry,
much.
guys. Uh, we wish we could have continued the Q&A for a little longer, but I think you guys should follow Sachin on Instagram, hit him up with your questions, and if he's not too busy working, he most probably should be replying to all of you over there. Sachin, I hope you're okay with people asking you questions
Definitely,
since we
definitely.
can't continue
Please go
here.
ahead. Yeah.
It was brilliant talking to you, Sachin, and
Thank you
I
so
hope
much, Weber.
to do this
Yeah.
again soon. Thanks a lot, Ravi, for helping us host this, and thanks a lot to KHIDKI and MIT for giving us the platform to work with here.
No,
Uh,
no problem. It's a pleasure.
so,
It's a pleasure to have you both here. And so let me end this now, because I
yeah,
think Sachin
I
is
think
going
that's
to,
okay.
yeah, he'll be going off anyway. So
Yeah,
bye everyone. We hope to see you again. I think on next Saturday or whenever the schedule is. I think we will update it on our site or let you know through social media. Bye.
all right. Thanks a lot.